strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Dorien Morin-van.
Hello, everybody. It is me, Dorien Morin-van, right here with another episode of Strategy Talks. I'm so excited that you're here with me. I can't wait to introduce you to my guest, Kris Ward, in just a second. Before I do, I want to do a shout out to our weekly sponsor, Social Insider. They are the intuitive dashboard for social media analytics, reporting, and competitors analysis for brands and agencies. So wanted to welcome everybody to this episode. If you're here live, let us know in the comments where you're joining us from, on what platform, and where you are located. And for those watching the replay, don't forget to put hashtag replay in the comments so both Kris and I know that you're watching the replay. And last but not least, thank you for those who are listening to this as a podcast, Strategy Talks, on whatever platform you're on. Thank you so much for listening. We have an exciting episode ahead of us. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Kris in, and then I'll introduce you to her. Hi, Kris.
Hey, Dorien. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yes, I saw you dancing in the green room to my awesome intro. It's awesome, right?
Hey, it's all about energy.
Yes, awesome. So let me go ahead and introduce everybody to Kris. So Kris is an author, podcaster, coach, and speaker, right? She's a team building and system strategist. She creates a movement where your business supports your life instead of consuming it. Kris is the founder of Win the Hour, Win the Day philosophy. After the loss of her husband, Kris returned full-time to her work as a marketing strategist. She was relieved that her business had not only survived her absence, but was growing. Now, Kris has completely changed the landscape for entrepreneurs by sharing the successful practices that allowed her absence. Kris has shared the stage with Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Kevin Harrington, original Shark from Shark Tank, James Malinchak, ABC's Secret Millionaire, Sharon Letcher, Rich Dad, Poor Dad co-author, and Joel Teasman, NFL All-Star and commentator, to name a few. Kris is also featured on award-winning podcasts, radio, and TV shows. Kris is an acclaimed podcaster. I've been on her podcast. You can hear Kris on her own podcast, Win the Hour, Win the Day, when she has engaging conversations where dynamic guests covering a variety of business topics so you can get to your next win. So that's pretty impressive, Kris. You and I met at Social Media Marketing World in 2020, right as the world was about to shut down.
Yeah, we didn't know it at the time. We were just running around having fun. So yes, it all, as my mother says, your whole life can change in one breath in, one breath out.
Absolutely. So it was really fun. You and I just had that same energy, just like I'm out there volunteering, saying hello. You came up to me. We talked. It was great. It was wonderful. So we're going to talk about crushing your demanding schedule. Now, as somebody who's worked in social media for 11 years, you work with clients. One of the things that I hear, and I think you hear them too, are people saying, well, you know, if I only was more disciplined, if I only had a little bit more organization. What does that mean when somebody says that? Is that they're like on the cusp of being ready to go, or is that not what the problem is?
Oh, that's my hot button. Those are my trigger words. Okay. And listen, pay attention. I'm going to throw a lot at you. I'm so passionate about this. So to me, that breaks my heart when I hear that. It's like chasing fog. And one of the most painful things I think is when you're working so hard at trying to fix something, but you're trying to fix the wrong thing. So it's not about being more disciplined. Discipline actually erodes your energy and your battery power kind of deal. And being more focused, what does that mean? Being more organized. Actually, being organized can be quite a deficit. And it has been for me in the past and some of my clients, because what happens is if you are an organized type person, it's almost like taking a screw and a screwdriver. You just keep reorganizing. You sort of like strip that screw. So what happens is you guys are out there working so hard, and you'll hear yourself say this. And if you hear this, oh my gosh, this is such a warning bell. Once I get past this next thing, ding, 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 there will always be a next thing. So Dorien, to me, it's about running around thinking that somehow, can I squeeze more juice out of this hour? Can I grind this out? Can I get up earlier, stay later? And that's not changing the infrastructure. And that's when you're trying to keep up to the growth of your business versus scaling your business. Those are two completely different things.
Ooh, I've never heard anybody say it that way. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. The growth of your business is so often what you're chasing, when in fact, you should be scaling your business. So we believe in the win formula, which means that you should be in execution mode 60% of the time, not trapped in the web of admin like so many are. This isn't an expensive job. This is you being an entrepreneur or a small business owner. And to do that, you always need to be moving on to your next ambition. And we know that's why you're here, creativity and freedom and all that other stuff, to get ideas to execution. So if you are looking at somebody online that maybe is a competitor, or you get a little professional jealousy, or you envy them, if you break it down, all they're doing is consistently and effectively getting their ideas to execution faster than you. That's it.
Okay, so we have Lisa is here, and she goes, oh yes, once I get past this, I can. You know, you're hitting that hot button for people that are here. I see Cammie is here as well, from San Francisco, I think. So absolutely wonderful that people are here. So there's so many questions I want to ask. The scaling piece, right? So I've been talking about scaling my business, right? And I've said that if I can just hire somebody else, if I can just, figure some of these things out. So how does somebody then move forward? So, I don't even know what to ask.
Okay, so let me jump in.
So you go do it. You go do it. This is,
okay,
there's a lot of truth here.
So most of my clients tell me in the Winner's Circle that they get 25 hours back a week within the first month of working with us. We hear that consistently. And again, I want to really lean into that 60% formula, the win formula. Not only should you be in that, but your win team, which I call your what is next team. So you should always be able to get to what is next, what is next. There's so many options of hiring very affordable resources now. But here's the thing. So many people, first of all, don't understand that hiring is a whole thing on its own. It's not something you do when you're stressed out and you're behind and you think, okay, I'll get some help. That's a whole thing. We've been doing it for a really long time. Now, we're not a hiring agency. There's a whole bunch of problems with that. It's just something that we do as part of our package. It's kind of like you need running shoes to get to the gym. That's, I'll help you pick out your running shoes, but we're really here to get you in shape, right?
Sure.
So we do help you with hire, train, and onboard your win team. But here's the thing. When people are hiring on their own, one of the biggest mistakes they make is they fall prey to the corporate thing that's throughout the world, which is a very parentified system. So you hire somebody, you give them work, you check on the work like a parent, child, teacher, student, and that creates a new job for you. When in fact, we believe your team should manage you. In addition to that, your team should also be following the 60% win formula, because when you move on to the next ambition, Dorien, maybe now you're like, I'm going to write a book or a second book, or I'm going to do whatever. There's always going to be that next stage you want to get on. You're never going to run out of creation or ideas. You have to have a team that can support that, going, okay, so here's our next thing, right? Without any hiccups or bumps in the road. You just want to be constantly able to compress that. And we do that with our super toolkits. That's a tool that we found and created, sort of a very, as my clients say, like standard operating procedures on steroids, because there's problems with standard operating procedures. Those are written by the end user. They're not written by the end user. They're static in nature. They're just there to cover liability. So the moral of this story, as I throw a lot of content at you, is that people go from getting one client to two. Here's a great example. Imagine you had a house plant in your left hand and you're like, oh, I'm so excited. I've kept this alive for like 3 months now. This is going really good. I'm going to get another one. And then you think, I'm loving how this makes me feel. I'm going to get a couple more. And suddenly you go, I really want to grow this. Pun intended. I want to grow a business. I want to start selling these plants. I'm going to have a farm. Now, the only difference between these plants and a farm is the infrastructure and the output. Isn't that interesting? What happens with so many businesses like the plants, one would die off and then you run out and you get another plant and you spend all your energy keeping that plant alive because you lost a plant. So now you focus on that. You don't have time to go get new plants. And so you're chasing this cycle because you have no infrastructure that can allow you to bring on a bunch of business, sustain it, move forward effectively, and be getting all your ideas into execution. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I love that analogy. That's wonderful. So those of us who want a farm, who just have the house plant or 3 house plants, and we want the farm, we need a way to get there. And you have that formula. And I love that. Win the hour, win the day, and everything that you're teaching. So what are some small things? Is there a mindset needed to get there?
The trigger word for me, Doreen.
No mindset.
Well, what I think though is to me, I think there's too much mindset stuff out there. Like listen, I love all that stuff. I'm woo-woo. I'm all about improving myself every day. So I'm not dismissing that. But I think what happens is when there is a lack of infrastructure there, you just go from 1 client to 3 to 5. And as I said, then you stress out because you lost one. And then you spend so much time catering to that new client because you needed the business that now you're not marketing. And we all know you're not on social media, you're not being consistent. We all know the day you get hungry is not the day you start putting a seed in the ground to grow lunch, right? So what happens is you find yourself always reacting. And then you start beating yourself up saying, well, I've been in business 10 years. Here's the thing. Most of the clients that I work best with, they look good on paper. They may have a podcast or a book or other things that they're doing well. They're comfortable out there with the social media, but they're working more hours than they thought they would be at this time. And you know who you are when you're the one sneaking some email work done after your family, settles for the night, or you're always stealing from your sleep. You're putting in too many hours, more so than you thought at this point in the journey, right? And then what happens is you think, oh my gosh, but I get a lot done because these are the people I work with. They get a lot done. They're the go-to person in their life for a lot of people. And what happens is then you start to doubt yourself and say, it must be my mindset because I run out of other things. And so it's not that I don't believe in that you need a certain mindset to do anything. But I believe the people I work with, their mindset is fine. They just don't have an infrastructure. They're running around reacting as their business grows, and then they're beating themselves up.
All right. So I like that too. That's a good way to do it. So people that you work with say that they gain 25 hours back a week.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of magic is that?
It's not magic. It's so easy. And everyone, listen, I have one client and she's in England, and she came to me and she was just so, working too many hours for so long. And usually the people I work with, they've struggled with burnout a few cycles before they go, okay, there's something like I've done everything, right? Sure. But her job was to help like companies of, let's say 50 people, 5 million to get prepared to sell. So she was putting their infrastructure in place to do this. And she said to me, Kris, I do this really in theory on a much bigger scale. How can you possibly help me? I'm like, well, I can, right? You can't operate on yourself and you can't see the prescription when you're in the bottle. So it's really not magic. But they tell me consistently that I do this. And here's the thing, is you really, whatever it is you're doing, you actually never put in an infrastructure that supported you in any way. You went from 1 client to 2 to 3, maybe to 5, and then you drop the ball and then get a few back, and then you catch breath and you work more. So you've just been climbing a muddy hill with bloody knuckles. And what if I said, hey, do you know if these shoes with spikes in it would help you climb the hill quicker? And maybe these gloves, you wouldn't get rope burn. So it's just like these little, it doesn't take much to tweak these things and start getting those kind of results.
Oh, I love all these analogies that you're throwing out there. And I think a lot of people that are watching this, it resonates with them. I know business owners like that. I've been on that muddy hill. I've pulled myself back. I've been the one that would work after hours. I try not to do that. And I've found a place that I was able to sustain the life that I wanted for quite a while. And then something triggers it. And then maybe I come back to, oh, maybe something's happening again. So if there is one tip that you can give somebody who says that, well, if I could just to the next thing, what can you tell them to do?
Well, first of all, I want to address two really important things you said. First of all, we all started this because we thought, have you ever met somebody and they say, oh, I'm starting my own business. I want to spend more time with my family. Well, good luck with that. You know what I mean? That is hilarious, right? So we did think there would be freedom to this. And I remember back in the beginning, I call my dark years, the first couple of years where I was working insane hours and realized, as my husband said, I was always stealing from sleep. Earlier and earlier, stamp later. And I was told really nicely about the 2-year mark that I was losing some of my charm because you can't go 2 years without sleep without getting a little edgy, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I found really was that, there was laws in the land that would protect me. Like no employer could have me work these 18-hour days. It was against the law. People fought and died for these rights. And here I was thinking I was going to get freedom and I was abusing myself outside any parameters of sanity or law. But more than having the freedom, I believe in school hours. You should be able to take any Friday off you want. You should have longer summers. You should be able to cut out at 3. That's the goal. So let's talk about school hours. So what I would say too is you want to be able to not only work school hours, but you want to be able to fulfill your ambition and creation elements, because that's where the pain comes in. When you're on one side of the bridge and your idea's on the other side, and you just can't cross that bridge, or it feels like the bridge is moving further away. I've had so many people say to me, Kris, I feel like a pilot driving a bus, or I feel like I should be swimming in the pool and I'm holding on to the side. Or I feel like I'm throwing darts at a dartboard, but the lights are off. I don't even know where the board is, right? Ooh. So that's the frustration. And I believe that not only should your business support your life and not consume it, but I believe that business should be fun. And then none of that sounded like fun. So let's, I'll give you a few, I don't like this term, but I want to say productivity hacks. Because the reason I don't like the word hacks is because it's really not about hacks. It's about infrastructure.
Right.
And the infrastructure, you wouldn't go to like somebody who's fit, an Olympic athlete. They're not looking for hacks because they've got an infrastructure. Right. So we do help a little bit. I would say maybe 10, 15%. There's some tweaking you can do to your calendar that is very minute. It's like 15% of what we do. It's really about building the win team and the super toolkits. But here's a couple of things that you can think about. And this will give you some clarity of why you think you're losing your mind. First off, is on the calendar, most people only put outside appointments on their calendar. They don't put their own work. And people will say to me, but Kris, I do that every day. I don't need to count that. And I say, okay, then let's think about, say you have a car payment coming out of your bank account every month. Would you say to me, that comes out every month, I don't count that? No, because the money's gone. So what happens is there's stuff on your calendar every day that you have responsibility for. You're not counting as work. And so you might stumble into the workday thinking you have 8 hours, but you might only have 6.
Right.
Right off the bat, that's a problem. And then let's go to another math formula, which is hilarious because I'm really bad at math. But I want you to think about this. If you're making 10K a month or want to make 10K a month, you're making 10,000 a month. Let's keep the numbers really super simple. And you're working, let's say 55, 60 hours a week. Which I would put a asterisk on that and say, if you're working 50, if you think you're working 55 hours a week, I bet you're working 70. Because I bet you're not counting when you pop in Sunday to get ahead for Monday morning, or emails you answer in between doing things, all that stuff. So let's say you think you're working 55 hours a week, you're making 10K, but you want to make 25K. Do you think your hours are going to go down to 30? Mm-mm. Right? So the infrastructure is not there to grow your income, to leverage your business. All you're doing is constantly reacting and trying to keep up. And that's really what makes you a sufferpreneur.
A sufferpreneur. Oh, man, that's a good one. A sufferpreneur. Well, we don't want to be self-preneurs. So we're going to add our own work to our calendar, be honest with ourselves. The first step is figuring out how many hours we work. And then this is a great segment into Kris. People need you in their business, in their life. So how can people connect with you? Because you have so many truth bombs. When you were talking earlier about that label, I remember interviewing you before, and you were the one who told me you can't read your own label when you're in the jar. And so you need somebody else to come out and look at that label, and it says, this is who you are and what you're doing. This is what your business is. You've taught me that. And that's really, that image has really helped me in my business, because I've surrounded myself with people who now tell me, this is what you're doing, Dorien, because they're reading my label. So that has been a huge thing for me in my business. That one tip that you gave me probably about a year or two ago was really big. Really, really big.
Well, thank you. You never know anyone's listening, so that's amazing.
No, absolutely listening. So tell us and our listeners and our watchers, how can they connect with you, Kris?
Yeah, you can reach me on any of the socials, definitely on LinkedIn. Tell me you heard me on this fantastic podcast, and we'll become fast friends. For your audience, I do have something special. Free gift, GIFT, from Kris, KRIS.com, from free gift from Kris.com. I put something special in there for you guys that we still charge for, and free version of my audiobook. Okay. And we won't be leaving it up long, so hop on over there. But yeah, just reach out to me and tell me you heard me on this great show, and we'll become fast friends.
Awesome. And before we leave, I've got a quick round. I have 3 questions for you that you can answer real quick. Physical work or mental work?
Ooh, both. I guess physical.
Okay. Pep talk or motivational quote?
Pep talk.
Speed or accuracy, which I thought was a great question for this. Oh,
I'm a recovering rushaholic, so I'm going with accuracy, but speed has been my demon. Yes, thinking you can rush through things.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being with me, Kris. I always love talking to you. You remind me of the important things running a business. I am part of that group that's recovering, workaholic. I'm part of that group who is scaling. And it sounds like you've got the system down for that. So if you're listening, if you're watching and you're like, ooh, everything that Kris said is where I am at this moment in my life, go to freegiftfromkris.com and get her audiobook, and then also connect with her. It's KRISWARD, Kris Ward. Find her on LinkedIn, everywhere else, and connect with her. And I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Kris, any last words, parting words for our listeners and our viewers?
You know what? You truly are a leader in your arena. So nothing but respect the fact that any accolades you've given me, I really appreciate, given the platform that you're coming from. And thank you so much for trusting me with your audience.
All right. Thank you. And I'll be back next week with another episode of Strategy Talks. Bye, everybody.